9:34, and the reports that nearly half of the Democrats in Congress skipped the speech last night, boycotting the State of the Union address, and there are the names on the wall. Instead, holding several competing anti-Trump events, including one that was dubbed State of the Swamp with Robert De Niro and Mark Ruffalo and others, and several people wearing what appeared to be frog costumes.
I defy Trump and his authoritarian project by standing in joyful, radical, peaceful resistance with the Portland Frog Brigade.
The state of our union is not strong. It is hanging by a thread.
Donald Trump, the Republicans, have made this country sicker, poorer, and less secure. Sicker, poorer, and less secure.
Donald Trump doesn't owe us a 2-hour rambling speech. He owes the American people their money back.
Well, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman is one Democrat who was in the chamber for the speech last night, and he joins us this morning. And thank you for your time, Senator. Always good to see you, and thank you for sharing your insights with us. You had about half your colleagues who chose not to go. That was their choice. You chose otherwise. What do you think of the decision they made?
Well, I mean, it's just disappointing, honestly. I mean, I think that's sad that I think half of my colleagues didn't show up. I mean, that's not a judgment, but for me, it's like, so for me, that's, I think show up. You don't have to clap for everything. You don't have to agree with anything. I think we're in a different place right now where it's now people not even going to show up or doing other kinds of alternative things. So for me, that's, I think so.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you think the State of the Union address has changed for good now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, now it's, the constant kinds of yelling and screaming and holding up signs and for doing all these things. I don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat as a president. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Respect the office, regardless who's in that. And now for me, it's like now when half the people in my party haven't showed up, and then some of them have chosen to just yell and say and scream during all of it, I just don't think that's what we want. And I don't believe, as a Democrat, I think like dancing frogs really moves the ball for us as a party either.
On that first point here's some of the moments. You had Ilhan Omar out of Minnesota, Rashida Tlaib out of Michigan, and just watch here for our audience.
That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
That exchange obviously went to immigration and enforcement and DHS funding. I saw an email thread last night where you shook the president's hand. I believe it was on the way in, and it suggested that you were the only Democrat who did. Is that true?
I do believe that's true. And now for me, I'm not going to yell or do that. Again, regardless who the president is I think that's been lost now here for our nation to do that. So for me, yes, I shook his hand, of course. He walked in, and I'm always going to do that, for sure.
So the New York Times wrote up the following moment as a ploy. That was the way they described it. And this was probably the moment that people will remember. When asked to stand for Americans or illegal immigrants, how the president phrased it last evening, this is how that went.
So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up.
So, Senator, to you, do you consider that a ploy as you look back on that 12 hours later? And if I may, did you sit or did you stand for that moment?
Well, for me, I never checked to see what the rest of people in my party would stand up and clap for. I clapped with a lot of those things that it seemed like others. Like I stood up and I clapped to recognize the family that lost their daughter, the Ukrainian girl that was stabbed to death, in North Carolina. And I stood up and I clapped that political prisoner from Venezuela, how you can't celebrate those kinds of things. And now I also celebrated all the veterans that were in the audience as well, too. And even more the political things like Erica Kirk. I stood up and I clapped for her as well, too. Now, here, can't we just be more kind to a widow? I mean, we just shouldn't be that long ago that a widow, with young children has her husband murdered, how we can't just acknowledge that as well, too. Wow. Whether why people would attack her, whether the left or the right either. So I'm always going to stand up and clap for things that I agreed with like striking the Iranian, sites now for me. I never worry about who's standing up or clapping. If I see it, I'm going to. If I don't agree with it or whatever, I'm certainly not going to yell and scream and disrupt the whole thing.
Well, I don't mean to speak for them, but I know they appreciate that and seeing that in the chamber. Sir, last question. It is not common, but you don't always wear a hoodie. You wore a suit last night. How did that feel for a change of outfit, even if it was just for a couple hours?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's I have more hoodies than suits, but of course I'm going to show up. I'm going to respect the speech. I'm going to respect the event, and I do think we all should, regardless. We can agree to disagree on things and respect that, and do some of the things that it's turned into, unfortunately.
Senator, thank you for your time. Hope you come back real soon. Okay, John Fetterman, the Democrat from Pennsylvania.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.